Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you a weekly energy update from the dates of August 15th through the 21st. It's a fantastic week to get some stuff done, make solid, tangible progress on things that are important to you. We were, in a sense, blown around quite a bit by the energy of the previous full moon, which made us essentially forced to do a bunch of shadow work and look within and deal with things in our life that are out of place. And however, in the wake of that, there's this new energy. As always happens in life, the tides shift. And now you might find yourself hitting the ground running, racing towards your dreams. And there's a lot of manifestation potential this week. Number one, it's a great time to detox, declutter your life, perhaps, and to create space. So usually when these energies are present, we will find ourselves naturally inspired to do something that will help us with this. I'm not saying do these things because you need to. I'm saying I predict you might find yourself wanting to on your own. Finding yourself attracted to the smoothie store down the street, or the yoga studio, or getting into meditation, or doing something to really calm and just create that spaciousness in all areas of your life, in your mind, maybe in your body. I know it's summertime. A lot of people tend to party a little more. Maybe you're realizing you're starting to feel a little bit foggy, and maybe you're waking up with not as much pep in your step, and you're realizing I need to start eating more clean foods, more fruits, more vegetables, etc., exercising more. But this also could be decluttering some of the stale energy in your life. Like we do this in our home a lot of times, where we will declutter the drawers and go through the closet for the 40th time this month, or this year rather. And decluttering, it sounds like it's like some kind of minimalist channel. It's not. I'm saying when you declutter even very mundane aspects of your life, there's a definite shift, at least I notice in my body, in my frequency, in my state of being, where when my life, when my house, when my environment is more feng shui, more minimalist, more spacious, more clean, decluttered, I feel more spacious on the inside. And then my environment is sort of reinforcing a state of inner spaciousness and clarity. Now, here's the thing, my friends, when it comes to doing this, is sort of, elementary as this might all sound to you spiritual folks, a lot of times there's vulnerability that arises when you start to declutter aspects of your life, because a lot of the stuff we're letting go, even if it's the unhealthy food, even if it's the random stuff in your sock drawer, or whatever, this spaciousness, even though on one level it feels very nice, it's also a bit, it makes you feel kind of vulnerable, uncomfortable. Because what happens, my coach, Doug, he says, whenever we finally stop and really pause ourselves and come into the moment, that's when the traumas come up. That's why most of us like to keep ourselves busy, keep ourselves distracted, keep clutter in our life so that we don't have too much peace, too much space, too much time where those deeper energies can start to make their way to the surface. So on one hand, you might feel inspired to clean up your diet or something. On the other hand, you might have kind of an emotional reaction to doing so. I saw this time and time again. As a personal trainer, I would train people who were overweight, and I realized very quickly with these people, it's not that they don't understand that eating too much is not good for them, and it's not that they don't have willpower, because frankly, most of us have only a limited amount of willpower anyway. It's the fact that they learned in childhood that eating food is a way of kind of comforting themselves and protecting themselves from not only the outside world, but also those painful feelings which every human being carries. So it's not just a matter of, eating more clean foods or eating less. It's about really having that courage to face what feelings come in place of this stuff that was once cluttering your aura. So I say this as kind of, again, a basic thing, but really it's a very profound gateway to transformation. And I recommend, if you relate to any of the areas of life I said, to be very patient with yourself and to hold space for yourself, to hold space for your feelings. Because what can happen is during these energies, not only do you get to declutter stuff in your life, which is kind of convenient and nice in its own right, but you get to also declutter some of those deeper feelings if you can hold space for yourself, if you can be present. And then those underlying feelings of anxiety that tend to create the clutter, create the poor habits, they're gone as well. And then you're really free. Number 2, it's a fantastic time from this place of spaciousness to set new goals, to dream big. You might find yourself doing that. You might find yourself, at least for me, when I start to clean up stuff, I start to kind of almost like tap into my potential futures and start to get excited and fresh, new inspirations and ideas about my future. And those ideas are very powerful. Those ideas that come to you when you are in a space of clarity are the ones that you could say are meant for you, are possible for you to manifest and accomplish, as big as they might seem. A lot of times the ideas that come to you when you're in this sort of state of being I was just describing, a lot of times they can resonate, they can feel very exciting, and they can also feel unrealistic. Like, who am I? I've never done anything like this. This dream is so big, it scares me. It makes me feel discouraged. It makes me feel like, it'd be nice, but I've never done anything like this before. So what's different? How can I do it now? Well, the thing is, you are different. And that's why you're having this idea right now, my friend. That's why that idea resonates. So as you do the shadow work and heal and expand and declutter, you also need to kind of take somewhat seriously the big dreams that come up from within, because yeah, you're right. That former you, it wasn't a vibrational match for these ideas, but the new you certainly is. But a lot of people, they expand and they have these ideas, and then they feel uncomfortable, and they contract back in, and they cling. And my friends, I totally understand where you might be coming from. Maybe you're one who has had ideas, has been sort of sitting on a dream for quite a while because this dream just seems out of your league. I get it. And I was like that too. But what I found is 2 things. You can only sit on that dream for too long before that dream starts to drive you nuts. Before that dream starts to haunt your dreams, and it will not leave you alone. It's incessant. It will start to sabotage all areas of your life that are not in harmony with this dream, with this purpose, until you're left with no choice. Bridges all burn. No options. You got to go forward. And I've done that. You know what? It worked out for me. But I don't recommend it. Because my life for a couple years in that insane transition, due to the fact that I clung to the shore way too freaking long, despite my better judgment, that 2-year transition was like this accelerated catch-up. It was a very stressful time in my life. And yeah, it worked out because we got the support of the universe during this time of awakening, but it wasn't fun. And I would prefer to do it not that way. And I'd recommend you, if you relate with this, if you've been sitting on a dream, don't. Because that dream's not gonna let you give up on it. It's not gonna let you shy away from it. You might as well go forward. You might as well go forward now. There's no point of waiting. So yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 is that when you finally do go forward, you realize just how much support there is, even if you don't see it initially. And the support can sometimes be subtle and yet profound. It can be a matter of when you finally take your path seriously, all of a sudden you have a slightly different way of thinking about yourself. Or you have an idea that would have never, ever come to you had you not taken that first step. And that idea One idea can change everything. Reminds me of that awesome movie Inception. It's all about implanting ideas into a dreamer. And there's a warning. That's like what the movie's about. Leonardo DiCaprio and these other people, they literally hijack people's dreams and they implant these ideas. But there's sort of like a caveat with it. When they do this, it is said, at least in the movie, that one idea planted deep enough can change everything about that person. Everything. So don't discount your idea. The point is, number 2, when you go forward towards your dreams, you will have support. And number 3 is kind of similar to number 1, but I'm going to speak about it in a different angle. I talked about decluttering and creating space. What I'm saying now in number 3 is to upgrade yourself, upgrade your habits, upgrade your mind, upgrade and become a match for the version of you that is living, that is an embodiment of that big dream that you feel so clearly in your heart at this time. You know, on one hand, we can do shadow work, as a lot of us are familiar with, and that will, as we heal something, that will automatically, oftentimes, have a ripple effect into our habits and thought patterns, and then, of course, our life. That's one way to go about it. But sometimes there's so much shadow work to be done that it could take a long time to go about that way. And it can be a lot faster and more efficient to kind of do it from the other angle. What I mean by doing it from the other angle is, even though you have wounds to heal, you've yet to forgive your mom or whatever, and there's all this stuff inside of you, which we all carry. If you become aware of the fact that you're not being the type of person you want to be, why not just be that person right now? In spite of the unresolved wounds. That can be a lot faster. And I'll give an example of that. When I was 19, I was coming off of heroin. I was a drug addict. I've talked about it many times in my YouTube videos, and it was a very serious problem, obviously, for me. I was a literal junkie for about a year of my life. But anyway, I was 19 years old at this time, and I'd gotten clean finally. And what I realized is that the heroin, from numbing myself so long, even though I had a lot of anxiety and kind of shyness prior to my heroin usage, when I got off the drugs, when I stopped numbing myself, my anxiety was unimaginably intense. It was miserable. It literally like consumed me. And even now I have a little anxiety. And the point is, that anxiety, I could have said, well, it stems from early childhood, it's ancestral trauma, past life issues need to be resolved. So then, once all that's cleared, then the anxiety is gone and I'm a new person. I didn't know anything at that time, so I just did something kind of like obvious and commonsensical, where at 19, I realized I don't want to have anxiety. I don't want to have the behavior of an insecure and shy person. And even though there's so much to heal, I'm just going to stop doing those things. I'm going to start doing the things I would imagine someone who has actual confidence to do. And what I started doing is raising my hand to share at these enormous Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I was in South Florida at the time, and the meetings are very big there. Recovery is kind of a popular thing in South Florida. And there was meetings with sometimes 200-300 people. And obviously not everybody could share. There's usually like maybe time for like 5 people maybe to share. So by me putting my hand up, I'm pretty much saying, I'm going to put my shy self on display, because once they call on me, I'm going to have 300 people turn their heads and they're going to be looking at me. And I'm going to start sweating. My face is going to turn beet red. I'm going to feel extremely embarrassed, and I'm going to probably like freeze and not have much to say. But I forced my hand up there, knowing this is going to happen. Knowing I'm not done healing. The anxiety is still there and it's going to come out. But guess what happened? Exactly as I predicted happened. I'd raise my hand, people would look, I'd freeze, I'd have something sort of, clumsy to say, and I'd feel horrible about it, and I'd ruminate about it, and then the next week would come, guess what? I'd raise my hand again. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. and about 2,000 more times, and eventually I started to realize I can function in this anxiety. It doesn't have to throw me off as much as I thought. And slowly but surely, this shy, anxious, drug addict kid became where I liked to share at the meetings. I knew I could speak very well at these meetings. But the point is not about that. The point is I outgrew that anxiety without doing any shadow work whatsoever, just because I was sick of being a prisoner to it. A lot of times being a spiritually minded person can really be a deterrent to the progress we have the potential to make in our life, because we're so aware of all the different layers of that onion of our shadow. And we have this belief that, well, I got to clear all of that before I can change myself and change my life. I'm saying nonsense. That's not true at all. It is hard. It is hard to go forward when your shadow is nagging at you, but you can do it. You can choose to do it. You have the strength within yourself. And also what happens is when you do that, a lot of that shadow will start to kind of dissolve itself in an accelerated way anyways. You get the insights you need to heal the wound with mom or dad. But regardless, it doesn't matter. You're going forward because you decided, I want to be this new person. I'm going to become them regardless, come hell or high water. I'm making a new choice today. And finally, my friend, I figured I would share with you a tip of the week. The tip of the week is to hold space for yourself. Because of all the things I said, if you're doing a lot of decluttering of your life and creating space, again, there's that vulnerability. There is a surfacing oftentimes of those deeper feelings. If you're allowing yourself to entertain those big dreams, that can also be kind of scary and intimidating to the inner child. And especially if you just decide to take my advice on that previous note and march forward and become the version of you wish to be, regardless of how you're feeling about it, just because you decide to, all of the above will create a lot of inner noise, a lot of feelings you might have about this big shift that you're taking yourself through. And my advice to you is not to cling to the old habits that offer you comfort, not to shy away from the big dreams, and not to hold yourself back by giving your past way too much power, but rather becoming really, really good at holding space for yourself. A lot of us do the opposite. A lot of us have these big dreams and we're taking action on our purpose, we're taking leaps of faith, we're letting go of big safety nets in our life, and then we feel a certain way about it, and then we berate ourselves about it. Say, I shouldn't feel this way. I'm weak. I'm unproductive. I'm unworthy, etc. We can get frustrated with our wounded inner child as it makes its presence known as all these changes start to go about and go down in our life. But what I've learned to do over time is to do the opposite of that and to have a lot more patience with little Victor, to show little Victor a lot more love. And if little Victor is feeling nervous, I go and I sit with him. And I breathe with him. I say, it's okay. It's okay to feel this way. It's understandable considering what you've been through. So I'm just going to be here with you for a couple of minutes as you cry it out, as you yell it out, or as you just sit there and feel funny and anxious. I'm going to just be here and sit. We can become really good at holding space for ourselves by, one, taking out the time to do so, and two, by allowing ourselves to feel whatever we're feeling without observation, without judgment, just being present with ourselves. And what I found happens when I do that, a lot of that turmoil, it's kind of like a pressure release. It finally can leave my system. And that holding space for myself turns into kind of a nice, effortless healing. A lot of times when those old feelings come up, it's because they're ready to be set free. But in order to be set free, they have to be looked at. They have to be acknowledged. They can't be ridiculed, and they can't be stuffed away in the corner. They have to be felt. And it's not easy to do that. But it becomes easier It really does get a lot easier. The more objective you become in your mind, the more meditative you become, the more you realize, oh, it's just old feelings. Okay. I know what this means. Psst. Anyways, my friends, I wish you an amazing week. One thing I'll let you know is this Sunday, I'm conducting a live online QHHT inspired spirit guide meditation. What is that, you might be wondering? That's where I applied Dolores Cannon, who's an amazing hypnotherapist, her script for helping a group of people connect with and have an actual experience with their own, what she calls the primary spirit guide. And I do this for my coaching clients because it helps people have kind of a tangible experience. So having faith, having trust becomes a lot easier when you know for yourself, not because Vic told you or you read it, but because you know you've experienced the fact that you do have this like celestial army of guidance, you could say, your spirit guide, your spirit team that are always with you and always supporting you and loving you and guiding you. And anyway, on Sunday at 11 a.m. My time, so 9 a.m. Pacific, I'm running this guided meditation, and it's free for all of my coaching clients. And to become one, if you want, it's only $29 a month. It's weekly coaching with me, but you also get access to this ceremony as well. So only the clients are going to be able to take part in this ceremony. But again, I make my coaching pretty affordable. And if you want to be there this Sunday, I'll leave a link down below. You can learn about the program. And again, if you sign up, just know you'll have access to that live workshop I'll be doing on Sunday. With that said, have an amazing day, my friends. A fantastic week as well. See you soon. Much love.